more teeth, won't it? If I start when I was born.
Right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't got a set list of questions for this bit because I just wanted you to talk through your childhood and everything, really.
My childhood.
Start start from where you want to, what your memories are. Then I'll try and ask questions as we go to.
Right. So you want to know when I was born? 8th of March 1936 at 27 Harrison Street, Barrow. My mother lived there, and when I was born, I wanted to be near her. So that's why I was born at 27 Harrison Street. And from there, we moved to Lease at Rose Cottage. It's on, well, it's not there now, it's gone. It was on a triangle of land near Armours, the agricultural engineers now.
Oh, yeah.
And we were there for about 2 or 3 years.
How old are you when you moved there to Lease?
When I was young,
right, like a baby or something.
Like a baby, I think, because I used to have a pet cockerel to tell me that he used to stuff it under my arm and walk around the town with it till I tried to shove it down the toilet and flush it in the toilet. I had an auntie that lived across the town called Phoebe Crabtree. I'm still in touch with one of the family. In fact, I got some photos the other day of my grandmother and her sister that I didn't have before. Going on from Lease, we moved to 5 New Street in Barrow-in-Furness.
New Street? Does that exist anymore?
Yeah.
New Street?
Yeah, it's still there. And I lived there until I was about 4 or 5, because during that time the war had started and my dad died of meningitis, so my mother was alone. And when we lived there, I used to go to Rollington Street School, Greengate Street School, and from there I was evacuated. But I used to skip school. Because we had gas masks in those days. I've still got one of them lying around somewhere. We used to have them in a tin and we had to carry them everywhere we went. And I used to skip school and go up to my grandma's at 27 Harrison Street, leave my gas masks behind the door and go and watch the barrage balloons on the where the old market was, the old outdoor market, which has used to have the Atkinson Health Centre on it.
What are barrage balloons?
Down Market Street in Barrow. Barrage balloons. The barrage balloons were big balloons on the end of ropes, and they used to high in the sky to stop the planes coming and bombing.
Bloody hell. Did you ever see like planes flying over and stuff when they're doing the bombing?
I actually saw one when I was a kid from New Street. It got set on fire with lightning because it was filled with, I don't know what it was, hydrogen gas or something to get them to go up.
Yeah,
they weren't small things, they were big things about 20 foot long.
Right.
With big lug holes on them on the sides. So they had barrage balloons down there. We were bombed during the war, and they used to go up the streets machine gunning with the machine guns. And during this time, I was evacuated to Warcop, where I lived with a family called Atkinson, who had one son. To get there, we had to go to Barrow train station. We had a label on our coats with our names and where we come from. And we were all spread out when we went to Appleby, which is near Warcop, where main whatever it was to disperse us was. And then we were taken round different places and lived with people in their homes.
What did it feel like being evacuated?
Well, it wasn't nice getting left, you know, going somewhere and getting left without your parents.
Yeah.
But apparently, the story goes, I was the last one in a car because nobody wanted me. I don't know why. And the people in the car stopped this Mr. and Mrs. Atkinson and said, do you want a little boy? You know, so he's got no. Anyway, they took me on.
Yeah.
They had a son called Ronnie.
Yeah.
Ronnie Atkinson. And we lived at, I think it was number 5 Shaw Gill in Warcop.
Right.
Which is a little village outside Penrith, near Appleby. And I remember there's a train station there, and there was, she wants to go out. The train station.
Do you want me to let her out?
Yeah, just open the back door. There was a train station there and an army camp just near the train station. We used to go there to watch films in the army camp when they had the films on, instead of going into Appleby to the cinema there. So one day my mother came. She used to come and see me, and she came one day and I tied her up to the bench on the station so she couldn't get away again.
Oh.
Anyway,
So she couldn't come back to Barry?
Yeah. Oh. So that's another story.
What age were you then when you were evacuated?
About 4 or 5.
Right, bloody hell. So young, isn't it? Yeah,
and then during this time my mother remarried. And then she was working she had to work in the shipyard because she used to get 50 pence a week to look after me as a widow's pension.
Right. That
was to buy food. She started working what they're knocking down now, which was known as the East Shop. She started as a crane driver in there and progressed to the manager's secretary, Harry Pollard, that lived at Dalton. And he used to come with my mother and his wife to visit me in Warcop. So she was good friends with him. Yeah. Obviously she worked with him and whatever. So that was that time. Used to go fishing with, it was called Bill and Hilda Atkinson, they were called. Used to call them Uncle Billy and Auntie Hilda. And I kept in touch with them. Even when I came home and I started work, I was still in touch with them. In fact, when I came back to Greengate School, I used to go and visit them on summer holidays for a fortnight. I used to go up there and stop with them, and they used to look after me. The son, Ronnie, well, he used to make fun of me. I didn't like it, but he ended up as a manager for a big company, a big builders merchants company that was well known across the north here, Ronnie. And I say I was in touch with him. And then Bill's mother died, and they lived at a little village called Merton, and they moved to their house, Bridge House, Merton, and I used to still visit them there when I was at work. They promised me they'd leave it to me, but the family got into it, and that was that. And then
what, the house?
Yeah.
Right. So how long did you stay with them when you were evacuated? You were 4 or 5, and then was that for the remainder of the war, or?
No. I was there for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
I can't remember the time scale, but I lived there. Enjoyed myself. Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was in the countryside, and I learned a lot about nature and all that.
Yeah.
And fishing and shooting and because the bread was short during the war.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and used to plant the corn and to supplement the rations.
Yeah.
That people were on here during the war. I used to take food home. We used to get a lot of eggs because we were out in the country.
Right.
And the other things, rabbits.
Yeah.
I used to catch the rabbits a lot of the time. We used to snare them.
Right.
But when the cornfields were cut,
Yeah.
the tractors used to go round the edges and go in a decreasing circle
All right.
till they ended up with just one big bit in the middle.
Yeah.
And all the rabbits and all the wildlife
Yeah.
used to go in the middle.
Yeah.
We used to follow them round, and when they tried to escape, we used to bludgeon the rabbits to death. Those sticks the dogs used to get them.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then at Christmas, everybody had a goose.
Right.
There was no chickens, it was all goose.
Yeah.
You used to get a goose for Christmas
Yeah.
and bring it home. And apples,
Yeah.
because we didn't have apples. We used to put apples, wrap them in newspaper, put them in a suitcase under the bed. Then you got an apple at Christmas because they were still fresh.
Right. Yeah. What were Christmases like during the war?
They were great. They're better than they are now. Well, when you're a kid, it seems more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, they were all right. No drunkenness because the pubs closed at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know, you used to have lock-ins, but that's another part of the story, isn't it? What else? So I came back to Barrow, and then carried on at Greengate School, then had to take your 11 plus exam to see which secondary school you'd go to.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to go to the grammar school because during this time my mother had left the shipyard and she became a secretary to St Pat's School on Barrow Island. It's no more now, it's been knocked down. She was secretary at the head teacher, and she told me I was third in Barrow in the exams and I could choose where I went to, so she said you go to the grammar school.
Yeah.
So I went to the grammar school.
How did you find school when you were at that age?
At Greengate, the maths teacher, Mr. Evans, because we didn't have long trousers until we were about 11 or 12
Right.
in those days. He used to pull your trouser leg up and slap you on the inside of your thigh. And Miss Kirby, she used to rap you across the knuckles.
What did you do to deserve that?
If you were unruly, let's put it that way. And then when you went to school, you used to get, I think it was viral or Marmite, you had to have a spoonful every day when you went to school.
Right.
You stood in the line, same spoon in the same thing, right along the line, and take that. We used to get a little bottle of milk every day.
Yeah.
School dinners. I don't know what school dinners were, what they were like, but yeah. And then when I lived in Harrison Street with my grandmother, or we lived there.
Right.
But my mother was never there because my stepfather, he was in the army.
Right.
So they used to travel around, so I didn't really see him. I didn't see either of them.
Was that Huey?
Yeah.
Is it right? I vaguely remember him from when we were little. Yeah.
And I had an uncle. Well, I had several uncles because there was a big family.
Yeah.
My Uncle Bill, I was his favourite.
Yeah.
He went in the army in the Royal Signals. He was a dispatch rider, and he got killed at El Alamein. I always remember he came home. He had to bring the rifles with him. I always remember on the end of the settee holding this big rifle up when I was a little and pretending to shoot people. And me auntie Jean, that's another of my mother's relatives. She lived there till she got married. And then they moved out. And then my mother moved back home because they lived in a flat on Barrow Island. But that's another story. It so happened that the flat she lived in, my cousin Moira, she lived in the same flat. And then when I got married, I lived in the same flat.
Really?
That's a coincidence.
Where was what were there the flats
Earl Street.
Earl Street.
Earl Street.
Flats.
There was one above a big warehouse.
Right.
And a chip shop on the corner, and then and I think there was 3 flats up there.
Right.
So that was where was I? I was still at school.
So you're at school, you took the 11 plus, came third in the 11 plus. That's good.
Yeah.
So were you? Well, it's a leading question, isn't it? Were you gifted? Did you were you a bit of a bookworm, or were you just a?
No, I don't know why. Is that door still open?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
There'll be a short intermission while Matthew goes to shut the door.
Yeah, there's no other way of putting it. Were you a bit of a?
I don't know, because I used to run away from school,
right.
as I told you previously.
Yeah.
In fact, the police chased me up Market Street one day at night.
What?
Because they couldn't find me.
Yeah. Is that the door?
No. It's, go on. Sorry to go to bed.
All right. She's very demanding, isn't she?
Oh, she knows. Yeah, they're chasing me up. Because the police station was down there. It wasn't where it is now.
Right.
It was... you wouldn't know where it was.
Oh, the Rolleston Street?
No, that was the first one.
Right.
It was on Market Street, the corner of Market Street. What's the street called? Not Cornwallis Street.
Forshaw or something like
that. No, there's flats there.
Right.
Anyway, that's beside the point. That was probably the episode with the barrage balloons. So, went to the grammar school. First year, I broke the high jump and the long jump record. Nearly got a cup, but in the 100 yards, I stopped too soon. I thought I'd finished, I stopped too soon, and 2 other people shared the cup, otherwise it'd have been mine. So I hated them all my life.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I still know one of them.
Yeah, did you give him a stick?
Yeah, still in touch with him. Used to go cycling. My mother bought me a bike because I couldn't ride a bike. And apparently, when my auntie died, my Auntie Maggie, because my mother was away, I spent a lot of time down there with their family.
Yeah.
They had 3 kids.
Yeah.
So I spent more time down there, and that's where I learned to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Down the back street there at Brook Street. Lived at number 5 Brook Street.
Oh yeah, near Greens Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because originally the family owned a small holding down there.
Right.
And the big field where some of the houses are now was known as Battisfield,
Right.
because my granddad, if you look on the records, was a cow keeper,
All right.
and he used to keep pigs on it.
Right.
So it was known as Battisfield
Right.
from the Battersbys
Got
side
it.
of the
Right.
family.
Well, we need to. One of the videos we need to do is a bit of a family history one, because I think a lot you know way more than anyone.
Yeah, well, I will do.
There's no if we don't get it recorded. I don't like.
Yeah, I'm the only one that's left.
Haven't
Yeah, so right, we'll fill in some bits later on, because I'll remember more as I go.
Yeah.
As I go on. Went to the grammar school.
What was it? What was the grammar school like? Oh, because we're in 1947 onwards, is it?
Yeah, 1947 to 1952.
1952.
I went.
So that's gone now. But what was the grammar school like in those days?
It was well, the girls' grammar school was next door. I think it was built in 1935.
Oh, right.
Because it was originally on Abbey Road,
right,
where Signal Films is. Up above there.
Yeah.
That's where it originated.
Right.
In there, so I believe. But it was an oblong building with two squares to make it oblong.
Yeah.
With classrooms around the outside, with open doors into the quadrangle that was grassed over.
Right.
In the middle.
Right.
And the school hall was in the middle of the quadrangle.
Right.
2 stories.
Yeah. What was it like being a student there?
It was all right. Sam Price was the headmaster.
Yeah.
A bit of a stickler. Had a big long cane, if you were naughty.
You get caned.
Bend over, boy, and whack, whack, whack. Yeah. I don't think I ever got caned. I was near to it a few times.
Yeah, that's not bad going.
But I was stood in his office a few times, but I got off with somehow. Yeah, it was all right. Made some friends there.
Yeah.
In fact, there's in the cupboard behind you, there's a photograph there of us somewhere. It's only a little one,
right?
Yeah. A little tiny one. Yeah, as I say, made some friends there. Knocked around with a few. Used to go to school on the bus from Harrison Street.
Yeah.
I think it was a penny. Yeah. You'd go to the town hall and get dropped off at the White House.
Yeah.
And then walk the rest. Or of a night, used to walk home through the park. Just to stop for school dinners. But I used to go to school with a friend of mine, Herbie Shields, Jed Shields, that just lived down the street from us. He lived at 23 and I lived at 27. Herbie Shields, who became a counsellor, moved to live on Walney when he got married. Used to go fishing with him.
Yeah.
Used to go all over fishing.
Where did you go around here?
Well, we didn't go around here.
Oh, right.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
I think I told you the story about Meartown, how Meartown started. The fishing shop that sold fishing tackle was in Trelling Street.
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Right.
Old Mac. And he started Furness Fishing Association.
Oh, right.
Of which I was number 1 or number 3 in Furness Fishing Association.
Right. Yeah.
But they had no waters.
Right.
But they got Meartown, which is near Scales.
Yeah.
Between between Gleaston and Scales.
Yeah. On
the back road. Well, I used to go there with my cousin Harry.
Yeah.
Who started me off on fishing with 2 bamboo canes and a cotton reel as a reel. We used to go there, but it's a mine sinkage.
Right, yeah.
And there was willows round the outside, and you had to walk on the willow willow branches to get to the hole where you could fish.
Right.
But it was just a matter of putting your hook in and pulling it out with a fish on.
Yeah.
You could pull a roach.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And then when the Furness Fishing Association started, the Candle Works, which was up Almsgill Reservoir, that's now filled in on the side of that, the stone from there on a Sunday, even though I was a kid virtually, we used to go to Mere Town, used to get a big wagon and fill it full of all the old stones from the Candle Works and fill it in, so there's a proper causeway out to it now. I believe. I haven't been there for years, so that was the first waters that Furness Fishing Association got.
Yeah.
But in the old days, when I was very, very young, I always remember me grandfather and my great-grandfather take me to the top reservoir that's now filled in, now soccer pitches.
All right.
He used to take me there fishing because there was trout in there.
Right.
He used to go up there fishing. But so my love of fishing started there, I suppose. So at the grammar school, I was in a C form. I don't know whether I went in the B or not. I didn't aspire to anything. I just stopped there and went till I finished and passed me General Certificate of Education. Can't remember what I passed. I know I passed in English literature, so I must have read a lot. And woodworking technology. Yeah. That's two that stuck in my mind, but whatever else I passed, I don't know, because my certificates would be thrown away, when I moved home.
What did you like to do at school? Did you have a particular affinity for anything?
Oh, I used to play rugby and soccer for them. Didn't do cross country. The first year you had to do a cross country run. That was part of it. Didn't like that. So sports and whatever else, obviously English literature. But I say I didn't really excel. I used to like woodwork. I used to do practical woodwork. Yeah. Make things. The gym, used to go in the gym. And that's another one. The gym teacher was called Sam Ollie. He was an ex-army PE instructor. And that was another one. He used to have a big thick belt. He used to get whacked with a belt if you weren't right.
There's a lot of violence in these days, isn't there?
Well, there was. You used to get whacked for all sorts. And Claude Lord, one of the teachers, they used to wang the board duster at you. The wooden thing with it.
For the chalkboard.
Wang. So it was a bit hairy, let's put it that way. But other than that, enjoyed it. And what did we used to do? The girls' school was next door, next door. The big long drive. Used to go up the big drive.
Were you allowed to interact with the girls' school, or was it forbidden?
No, you weren't allowed to. But we did. But we used to make, used to get 2 bolts and a nut, and used to get, I forget what it was, and something in sulphur and mix it. Yeah. Then tighten the screws up on the 2 bolts, so it was like that. And then wang it on the ground, and boom! And me and Herbie Shields got into making explosives. Potassium iodide or iodate or something. You used to get iron filings and ammonia, because you could go to the chemist and get all sorts of chemicals.
What, at school?
In town, you could go hunters, and because you used to make gunpowder, taglac, and then that's just saltpeter, sulphur, and carbon.
What for? What were people making gunpowder for?
Making bands and making fireworks.
Right.
Making all sorts. So
Right.
we made this, I think it was potassium iodide. We used to get filter paper, put the iron filings in the filter paper,
Right.
and put the ammonia
Yeah.
over and filter it in the bottom. You know, used to filter, and then the powder that was left,
Yeah.
boom! It was very sensitive. If
Yeah.
a fly landed on it, it'd explode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to make little bits. Then one day we decided to make some, and we used to go into different houses. We kept wives between us, and they used to travel between 23 and 27. The white mice. He'd have them one day, but the white mice used to be in mine. I'd have them be in his house.
Yeah.
Anyway, we put this on his mantelpiece in the parlour, because we had a parlour in those days. Put it on the mantelpiece and the big mirror above it, because we were going to take it to school and put it on the doorknobs.
Would it not have, like, hurt someone? No, is it not violent enough to hurt you?
Well, I don't know. We never tried it.
Right.
We just knew it exploded if you just touched it. So anyway, we had all this lot, and we were going to put it in a thing, so we started pouring it, and it exploded. It cracked all the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot, and I was deaf. His mother went mad, chased us out of the house. So, another time we made some gun cotton,
Right.
but we didn't know how that worked, so we threw it in the backyard, and the window cleaner came and dropped his ladder on it, and that went bang. Yeah, we had some fun.
Yeah, sounds it.
But say you could go to the chemist or Hunter's Wholesale and get your saltpeter and flowers of sulphur and carbon and make. Don't you know how to make gunpowder?
No.
Well, you see.
Yeah.
And
people were probably blowing up mirrors in houses and ladders, so they banned it.
What's the other one we didn't try making that? Nitroglycerine.
What, dynamite? That's what's in dynamite, in it.
Yeah. We tried that, but it wasn't successful.
Yeah, it's probably good luck at, because he might not be recording this video if you were successful.
Yeah, so that was the grammar school, and then finished in 52, wasn't it? 47. Finished in 52.
Yeah.
Finished. Some people could leave early because my birthday was in March. I had to stop on till the July.
Right.
You know, till
you were 16 and a bit.
And then I went down to try and get some money. I went down the pulp works.
Mm.
You know where that is, don't you? You know where your grandma's house is.
Down Salt House.
Salt House.
Yeah,
Go down that. And then that big wreck of a building was the pulp works.
Right.
The paper mills.
Yeah.
Where they made the paper.
Yeah.
Went down there for a job because they used to take casual labour on down there when the wood boats came in.
Yeah.
They came in and down the dock, and then from in the docks, they used to transfer the old railway line. Used to transfer the logs down the pulp works.
Yeah.
To go and be made into paper.
Yeah.
Well, they used to take casual labour on down there. You used to stand outside the gates. You've probably seen it out, and I'll have you,
really?
and you for £1 a day.
Yeah.
That was £5 a week.
Yeah.
And that was, I forget what time in the morning it was. And the logs were about as long as this table, and anything from that size to that size.
Yeah.
In the big high wagons, about 8 foot high.
Yeah.
You had to get hold of the logs, heave them out the wagons.
Yeah.
You used to have one of these big hooks to hold them because it was slippy and wet sometimes. Heave them out. if you were on the wagons. Then there's the ones that were stackers ashore. When you heaved them out, they picked them up and went and stacked them in big rows, and then they were put into whatever they did in the pulp works.
Right.
So I did that for a spell to get money. Went to try and get a job. I wanted to be an accountant.
Right.
So there was a firm of accountants in town called Glicksman. They had his brother had a tailor shop on Dalton Road. And then his brother had an accountancy on Duke Street. So I went there and I said, I want to be an accountant. Have you got any vacancies? I said, oh, go and see Mr. Glicksman. Went up, oh yes, and yes. We can take you on.
Yeah.
I said, oh, good. I said, when do I start? He said, well, you can start on Monday if you want.
Yeah.
I said, oh, right. He said, how are you going to pay the £500? I said, what? He said, how are you going to pay the £500? I said, what £500?
Yeah.
Oh, you pay us £500 and that's the money for training you. That's your training money, and after 5 years you'll be an accountant. So I said, I'm afraid we can't afford that, thank you very much.
Because
that was it.
That was the way they did it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then would you get paid back for it once you were qualified, or?
Well, I don't know, it just paid £500. But I never went any further when he said, he pays £500. So I went to the town hall to be a clerk or do something. And one of the lads I went to school with got that, Tony Charnley, he got that job. And that was from July, August, then came to the end of August, and my mother said, well, why don't you go to the shipyard?
Yeah.
So I went there and saw the apprentice training officer, and I think because he knew my mother.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I presume it was. So he said, what are you after? I said, well, I'm after a job. He said, what can you do? I said, I've just left school. He said, how about starting as an apprentice electrical engineer?
Yeah.
So I said, oh, that's all right. So I started working there on the 8th of September. As an apprentice electrical engineer, which meant I went down the training school, down Hunter's Yard, went down there for, I think it was either 3 months or 6 months on 27 bob a week.
27 bob. £1 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
£1 something a week.
£1.35.
For 42 hours.
Right. Bloody hell. So you were actually earning more doing at the mills?
Yeah.
Looking.
Yeah. Well, I was an apprentice,
yeah.
Trade.
Yeah.
Then your money went up.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
So I was down there, and you made your own tools then.
Right.
Hacksaws, depth gauges.
Yeah.
Not feelers, calipers.
Yeah.
All sorts. First job you got, and Tina had to do it when she went to college. Chip the block.
All right. Yeah.
That was a 6-inch solid block of steel.
Ellis has told me about that. Yeah.
Hammer and chisel, and chisel it.
Yeah.
Chisel it flat. Then once it was reasonably flat, you had to file it flat.
Yeah.
And then you had to get a scraper and scrape it flat till you put it on a plate so that there was no marks showing on it.
Yeah.
So it was all a colour.
Yeah.
So that was that. And then you progress from there, learning how to heat metal up and bend it. You used to heat old files up to make your scrapers.
Right.
And how to temper them.
Yeah.
With oil and that. And then after that, you went out into the workshop.
Right.
So I went into the plant electricians on the engineering side
Right.
of Vickers.
And what's that like? So I know from working there, but what were the different parts of the yard? Because the engine side, ship
And
side.
the shipbuilding side.
So what was the difference between the two, and what were you doing?
Well, the plant electricians looked after the works. The ship's electricians did the ships.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the differentiation
Yeah.
between them. Although it was Vickers, it was shipbuilding and engineering.
Right.
So I was on the engineering side at first.
Yeah.
And the first tradesman I went with was a bloke called Fred Parkinson.
Mm.
He used to slip me an extra £0.5 a week
Yeah.
for being a good lad. But he was one of these. He couldn't feel the electricity because we were still on
Really?
DC.
Yeah.
Changing to AC then,
Right.
to test if there was power on. He used to push 2 fingers across it. Many a time I used to say to him, "Is that dead?" "Yeah, it's dead. You can strip the wires." Boom! Fred, he was a good tradesman though.
Yeah.
And then I went to work with Norman Burns, and that was still in the what they call the wireman's corner.
Right. What's that mean?
That was running the wires in to lights and
Oh, right. Okay.
machines and
Yeah.
all that, because that was split into different sections.
Yeah.
Because we used to have, when I did that, we looked after the tick-tock clocks
Right.
in the yard.
Right.
That was the morning job from 7:30 till 9:00.
Yeah.
Just walk round the engineering works,
Yeah.
looking at the clocks on the wall, the big clocks.
Yeah.
And they were driven by batteries from a master clock in the gatehouses.
Right.
In each
Right.
engineering and shipbuilding gatehouse,
Yeah.
there was like a big master clock
Yeah.
that was driven by batteries.
Yeah.
The batteries were on the, can't remember where they were. I think the batteries, I know the batteries on the engineering side were above the ladies' toilet in the personnel, which was in the basement of the King's building.
Right.
That's where I hurt me
King's
back.
building at Kingsgate.
Kingsgate,
Yeah, okay,
that
yeah.
building that's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
He went up to check the batteries one time, and I went up, the ladder slipped, and I ended up in the ladies' toilet on my back on the ladder. I come out pulling the knickers up. What's going on? Yeah, so he smashed the ladder up. So that was the job that we had every morning.
Right.
Used to just walk around the yard,
Yeah.
and the big clocks, the big clocks.
I've seen pictures of him. I don't think I ever saw him in my working time.
About that size.
Yeah.
Like Big Ben's face.
Yeah.
They were, and they used to click every minute.
Yeah. Up in every shop.
Yeah, they were in the shops,
Yeah.
and then run down from them was 2 wires into a little junction box.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't running right, we carried a battery on our shoulders, just a little square dry cell.
Yeah.
And used to click them on, just touch it,
Right.
and that knock it on a minute,
Right.
just a minute slow.
Right.
So that was the job every morning.
Yeah.
For 1.5 hours, just
Yeah.
walking around. So I got to know all the shops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people in the shops got to know me.
Yeah.
The turbine blading, that was full of women. And the new apprentices, they used to do unmentionable things to them with red lead. I won't tell you where they used to put it.
Well, leave that to imagination, sure.
Yeah, so that was that. I got a motorbike then, because we still lived in Harrison Street. I got a James Captain 125.
Right. Nice.
Because there was a garage on Greengate Street, just round the corner, where next to the gym, where the gym is now, on the corner of Greengate Street, School Street.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, next to that was the elastic factory.
Right.
It was a big building, a 3-story building, maybe 4, and they used to make elastic on the top floor.
Yeah.
And down below was a garage.
Right.
Star Autos it was called, and I bought a James Captain from there.
Yeah.
When I got that, I had a mate, Bill Jones, that lived at Dalton. He got done for clocking cars, but he laughed about it. I think he did 6 months in prison, but he said I made $250,000, so it doesn't matter to me.
Bloody hell.
I'm clocking them.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said, "Come on, we'll have a ride to Dalton." So he set off. Now he got on this bike, set off, got Dalton in about half an hour.
Yeah.
And he said, "Where the heck have you been?" I said, "Well, I've been riding." He said, "What gear have you been in?" I said, "What do you mean gears?" He said, "It's got gears, you have to change gear." So I've gone all there in first gear.
Bloody hell.
So I had that for years. That.
Yeah.
And then from there, I think I did 6 months. No, I must have done a bit longer in the plant electricians.
Yeah.
And then I transferred to the drawing office, because you had to do that as an electrical engineer to get drawing office experience.
Right.
So I went in there and worked on the subs.
Yeah.
And doing drawings for the subs.
Right.
I was on the sub side. There was the subs, commercial, and plant.
Right. Yeah.
Drawing offices.
Right.
It's in the quadrangle building.
Oh, right.
I told you about that.
Yeah, where Amy is now.
The top floor.
Yeah.
And I got a job to do to draw something for the midget subs.
Yeah.
Because they were still building them then.
Yeah.
And I had an argument with one of the bosses about it, because I said a junction box, and there was a cable to go in it. It was about as thick as my finger.
Yeah.
And it was bent at right angles. I said, "You can't draw it like that." He said, "Why not?" I said, they'll never get a cable. If you draw it, they'll do it." So I said, So anyway, they took me off that job, and I had to design the plan safe down below. They said, "Here, go and do that." So I met some good friends in there.
Yeah.
Because they used to say, because I was into cycling then, I got the first bike I had was a Vindec, a big sit-up and beg with a big chain guard on.
Yeah.
It weighed a blooming ton.
Yeah.
I had a Phillips Watts Populi, then a racer.
Right.
So I used to go cycling, went all over on it, went up Rhinos, Hard Knot Pass on it, round the lakes, Tarnhouse, Morecambe and back, all over.
So you're still like quite athletic then after you left school? You were sporty at school and then you carried on with cycling and stuff like that?
I suppose so, because I played tennis.
Yeah.
When I was in the drawing office.
Yeah.
I played tennis for the electricals, and we got into the final of the tennis in the doubles. So, yeah, I suppose it was with fishing and that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So then in the drawing office, we used to get our drawing instruments made in the pattern shop. We used to have to buy a big sheet of plastic, clear plastic. Just leave it, she'll go. And cost us £2. They used to make the French curves and the set squares and T-squares and all that in the pattern shop. There was a bloke specifically did that for the drawing office people.
It's a different world, isn't it? Like all the stuff that was made and done on site to facilitate the building of the subs. It's so different to how it is now.
Yeah, it was. So then, after I did my time in there, I transferred to the ships down the dock side.
Right.
Buccleuch Dock, Devonshire Dock, Dev Dock.
Dev Dock.
Then the Dev Dock shop. Worked on the boats, worked on the tankers. The first boat I ever worked on was when I was in the plant electricians, because I moved about when I was in there. I went on the armature winding.
Yeah.
That was the armature to the motors, how to wind the coils and how to put them in so the motors would run.
Right.
Then went in the test squad. Well, when I was in the test squad, the first boat I worked on was a Carl Schmiedemann, an ore carrier. We had to go down and check the engine bolts, because when they put the engines in and tighten the engine bolts to hold them down, they had a hole drilled down the middle, and they had a heating element in to heat the bolts up before they were fully tightened.
Right. Yeah.
So we had to go down and check the temperatures.
Yeah.
And when it got up to temperature, we used to tell them and they used to come and do whatever.
Yeah.
So that was that. But I worked on the Argentinian boats.
Right.
Worked on that, went out on sea trials on that.
Where did they have the trials at?
Up Scotland.
Right, to go up back.
Off the Isle of Arran was the measured, I think it still is, the measured mile.
Yeah.
Still up there. Went up there. Then ran short of work in the yard in 55, I think it was. There was no work in the yard.
Whilst you were still an apprentice then?
Yeah. There was no work and they were transferring people.
Yeah.
Well, we just transferred some Irishmen over here.
Right.
So they were transferred up to Newcastle.
Yeah.
And there were some apprentices asked to go and I was one of them.
Yeah.
So I went to Newcastle.
Right.
I was up there 14 months in lodgings.
Yeah.
Working on the boats up there. Worked on the Empress of Britain or the Empress of England. And then when that was finished, I tried to get to sea, but they wouldn't take me on, probably too young.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have enough experience or something. And then came home. That was 57.
Right.
Because I wasn't going to do anything when I came home. And made up my mind I wasn't go anywhere.
What, you were going to stay here and what? How do you mean?
No, was that when I came home from the army? 1957. No, I'm getting mixed up. When I came home in 57, I was still an apprentice.
Yeah.
I was 20, just coming up 21.
Yeah.
Because I was exempt from the army because you had to do your national service then.
Yeah.
When you were 18, you had to go in for 2 years. But because I was in a reserved occupation,
I
didn't go, but you had to go when you were 21, when you came out of your time. So when I came back, I said, I want to go up the top yard. The electrician's in the top yard.
Yeah.
So I got transferred there.
Right.
And I worked up there.
What did they do at top yard then? What was happening?
Well, the top yard was where they built the boats.
Right.
On the slipways.
On the berth.
Down the berth.
Right, okay, yeah.
So it was the berths then.
Right, okay.
So I went there and then I ended up in the army, didn't I?
Yeah.
For 2 years.
So I was going to say...
Stop there.
Well, we've been going nearly an hour. Actually, I don't feel like an hour, does it?
No. Well,
But do you want to start there and then we'll start next time from the army
Yeah,
and then do another
yeah,
stretch?